Hey, you guys, I'm recording this because it's really a good opportunity to get Pozar, because he's so famous he managed to be thrown out of public access television. But now things are changing, and I'm sure they're going to be happy to have you back because they're beginning to see that when you don't get justice in the courts, it's not just a few people. Eventually, this lack of justice is going to spread to everybody. So can you just review again, Joe,
why...
why...
It has spread to everybody.
So, Joe, can you just review...
It's a fair trial.
So, Joe, can you just quickly review what you told Pozar about how they justified throwing out the jury?
Yeah, because we were saying stuff about that the marijuana was ours and that it was our religious belief, and then actually the prosecutor mentioned that some other people had they rounded up a big crew of people, about 30 people in different places, and he ran a list of all the drugs that the other people had on one case, and he said cocaine and heroin and LSD, and I stood up and said, wait a minute, there was no cocaine or LSD or heroin at my house. This is about marijuana. I had marijuana. And then the judge said, oh, you said you had marijuana. That prejudiced the jury against you. But he didn't say it for the prosecutor, who said drugs that we didn't have in front of the jury.
Right, which represents them against you. Should have.
Yeah, he should have did it against the prosecutor.
Right, right. You represented yourself all 3 times?
Yeah, this is the 4th time now. I'm getting good at it.
Yeah.
I've had practice.
and what was the it was like for medicinal purposes?
No, back then I didn't know about medicinal back then. This was in '72 and '74, these old cases. But I've been saying it was my religious belief for 40 years. I'm saying that I was doing it as my religious belief. Now I'm saying it as all through history, the holy men, the shaman, the priests were who people went to get their herbal healing. So now I'm saying that as a shaman or a holy man, the same as the ones in past history, I'm healing with a sacred herb. I'm saying that marijuana is a sacrament to me and a gift from God. And I believe that marijuana was given to us by God for the healing of body, mind, and spirit.
June 28th. Huh?
Yeah.
Well, Joe, all Joe was doing was simply doing what the greatest healers in history have done. He was using hemp to heal people.
That's right.
28. Well, I'm gonna. Can you email me any, like, I don't know, like the complaint itself? The criminal complaint itself.
I gotta try to find my house and my paperwork. I've been doing paperwork for 18 months. I got it scattered everywhere. I'm one of the worst people. I'm not a nice filer. It's in stacks, and I'll try to find it.
He's not a nice filer.
I've seen many I used to be a not nice filer myself, but got to the point where I started needing these things so quickly, and then some lawyer showed me how to do it. You know, how you actually put the folders so that you can, like, get those things really quickly. But playing catch-up is hard. Catch-up filing, because now you've got 2 years worth of papers.
Yeah, I have such a mess. I need a team of secretaries.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna write this camera in the court. Can you just get me? I don't know. Do you have any transcripts at all?
No, I've asked them for transcripts, and that they were supposed to give them to me because when you're indigent, they're supposed to supply you with everything that you ask for. I've asked him at least 10 times that I want the transcripts. And the last time I asked the judge, he said, well, you know, the transcripts cost a lot of money. And I said, well, Your Honor, I'm indigent. And the court needed. Well, they cost a lot of money. And they just left it at that without going any further or saying he would give them to him. And then I put in another paper asking for them that they just didn't even answer. They ignore most of the stuff that most of my paperwork, because, you know, I don't put in the normal paperwork like a normal lawyer. I put in stuff that makes them think or have to work, and they don't want to think or have to work.
What is indigent?
A lot of cases, Joe, they won't even provide the transcript. I mean, after the charter challenge that I went through in Canada, what the judge had said was so outrageous. I went in and, you know, you could get a copy of the transcript, so I paid, I think it was $65, and they were supplied to me on cassette tapes. And when I played them, everything that the judge had said wasn't there. They took out what was incriminating. So don't expect much different when even if you do get any of your transcripts, anything that incriminates them will likely not be there.
Which is exactly why the people ought to have a right to have the camera in the courtroom, unless they can really show that somebody's life is going to be in danger or something like that.
Yeah, well, they can't show that in my case.
There's so many they can't show that in. That people never get to see, because even if you get the transcript, the stuff that's incriminating is taken out. Then you'd have to go get the court reporter's paper, and then by that time, if they know they got to produce that, then he'll make up a whole new paper and just delete that part, because there's no way for you to know that that paper was typed new again, because it's just holes in a piece of paper.
But if you had
I know the
case
I went through, they wouldn't. I tried to take recording equipment into my case, and they wouldn't allow it. So, I mean, the way I look at it, if you're the one on trial, why do you not have a right, you know, to record it the same as they do?
Exactly. Yeah, only because they want to reserve the right to withhold information that is damaging to their image. Because their image is everything. If people didn't trust the judges and would question the judges as much as they question anybody, we have a lot more healed people out here.
Oh, definitely. I mean, yeah, that's most of the problem here is all of this public trust they have in doctors and like you say, judges and politicians, and I don't know why they trust any of them, because they're all working against us.
I think a lot of it, you know, it's probably separate, but there's like a couple of different groups. One group is like they grew up in a very authoritarian household, so they're kind of addicted to this trust thing. So they're addicted to authority. The other kind of group of people are those people who benefit from, you know, the government being in power. They're somehow getting like a trickle down. You know, my cousin's getting the contract, and then my cousin's employing me, and I'm employing my other cousin. You know, so the people who are directly feeding off the government, they're of course going to be anything the government says, because they're eating like that.
it's their meal ticket.
We're the ones that are putting up with it, and we shouldn't be. And it's just about time we all wised up.
Well, I think it's happening.
I got a call coming in. I'll be right back.
Okay. I think it's happening slowly, and more people, because more and more people are becoming sick, like by the toxicity that's just here. So people are becoming sick, and their loved ones are becoming sick, and so they want cure. And because it's happening to to a large number of people, that what 10 years ago you could not buy organic milk in a regular supermarket. Now they're stocking. Now they're stocking. So it's happening, but slowly. We just have to keep that pressure on. Of course, a lot of times we pay the price, and we're like unsung heroes. But the other flip side of the coin is what are you going to do? Join that? And if you do nothing, you're joining it. Because you're allowing it to happen without speaking against it. So you're joining it if you don't do anything.
Let me ask you something about, if you're trying to get the cameras in the court, are you going to be saying that it's a TV show that wants to film this?
Well, there's two ways it can happen. One way is as the press, but the other way is you as a litigant under 22 NYCRR, which stands for New York Codes, Rules, and Regulations. 22 NYCRR 29.1 B2 says a litigant can tape for litigation reasons. A litigant. So it can be done as a litigant. You can do it as a litigant. I can do it as a press. I can do it for you as your designee. So there's two ways to do it. One as a litigant, the other as press.
What do you think is the most...
Well, brother,
I
don't care how you
would
do
be
it.
the best because it really puts them on. It makes them aware. I think they'll give me more chance of a fair trial if they think that the press is really on this.
Okay.
Yep.
You can do it both ways, but okay, press is
If you can do both, then go for both. That would be great.
Okay. We'll go for both.
Hey, Posar, I've got an idea. Why don't you do press on my behalf? You be my representative for the press request, and then Joe can hire you for the litigant request. How about that?
Yeah, we can do that.
Except Joe has no money to hire.
Well, you just need $1.
He's done it for $1 for me.
Oh, okay. Then I can handle that.
All right, right. So we'll I'm gonna get that up. And Paula, you're emailing me the name, the prosecutor's address, the court, where the court is, the address, and the number of the case.
Yeah, the docket number.
The prosecutor's address as well, wherever the prosecutor is, because I want to send him a copy.
Yeah, I have the prosecutor's address is 275 Wall Street, Kingston, New York.
Is it?
And his telephone number is 845-340-3280, which is different than the Ulster County Courthouse, and you'll find that on the freedomfirstparty.org. I sent you that link also.
Okay, but lay that out for me in an email, all right?
I did. It's already, you already have that. And then when your lady comes in from on the 15th, let's schedule a time in the studio, and we'll show on the cameras all of these documents, so we can inspire other people to do the same thing across the country.
All right. Well, she's not a camera. That's not her kind of angle. She was born in Sudan, and what it is her white Arab father was talking against the slavery there, and her parents got killed because he was doing that. And she's got an incredible story, but let's not segue into that. But
so we'll do two shows. We'll do two shows. I'll book enough time that we can do her show, because yeah, you're right. That's right down my line.
Yeah.
I'm very, very interested in slavery, because we need to wake up people about the slavery that they're in. That's what Rick has been trying to do.
Well, it's not only the slavery. Well, I mean, this is the greatest genocide that was ever committed in history, and we've got to put a stop to it. It makes no sense.
Well,
I mean, doctors in hospitals giving babies poison. This is beyond insanity.
Well, that's what I mean. We have a slave mentality that we keep accepting it. It's just like what Posar said. There's people who are addicted to authority, and then there's others that go, don't disturb my nest. I've got a little nest here. And they're not seeing that the whole tree is crumbling down, is being chopped down.
Yeah, and then
unfortunately,
there's something about
5% of people are like that.
Of
I'm going to run, guys. I'll be back in a little while.
Okay.
Losing the job. Okay. I'm going to
I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to somebody else.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
But
say,
Rick, you got the medicinal marijuana?
yeah, remember Posar months ago we sat together and watched Run from the Cure?
Yes. I'm just.
He's the guy.
Great work. It's great work. I mean, so at what stage are you at now?
I'm in no stage right now. I'm in the Czech Republic, and if I go back to Canada, I'll be arrested and charged. But I'm setting up, we're trying to get a research project underway right now in Egypt, and it's looking pretty good. So I don't care where in the world I've got to go to do this. I just want to be able to have the right to grow this plant freely and do the research that's required and supply medicine to the public. You know, of course, the drug industry, they don't like what I'm doing because, you know, the way I look at this medicine, supply it on a donation basis. That way, if you don't have the money, you still get the medicine. And nobody should be dying because they don't have money. You know, the drug companies have been pulling a scam for so many decades, and they're not supplying any medicines that help anyone. All they give people are liver toxic chemicals and poison. So it's you know, the whole medical industry is a fraud. Who are they healing these days? When I was young, you went to a doctor, you got a prescription, a month later you were healed, and that was it. Now you go to the doctor, and he gives you a prescription, a month later he gives you another one, and the month after that he gives you another one. It just goes on and on. They want us taking all of these chemicals.
And
So it's just the first class
to get off the prescriptions.
Well, that's what I tell everybody to do. And brother, what we've seen with this oil, I mean, I've had a lot of people that came to me were taking 24 to 30 pills a day, and they get on this. The only thing they're taking is the oil, and it's harmless and non-addictive, and it's something you can grow yourself. So the big pharmaceutical industries don't want this stuff out there, but they can't stop it now because thousands of people worldwide, you know, we showed everybody how to produce their own, and that's just what's happening.
And because of that, Posar, Christian Lorette, the producer of Run from the Cure, told me that there's a big campaign. Lots and lots of people are writing into CNN, ABC, and, you know, all the major networks, and they're telling them about the cures that they've gotten. And they want these big networks to respond with a story. They want this to be investigated. So Christian says to stand by for investigations. Or if not, he's going to show in his second Part 2 documentary that it's been ignored. That's why the Joe Barton trial is very important, because this is a very real example of somebody, you know, the shit's hitting the fan, so to speak.
Yeah, well, four trials speaks for itself. I mean, Gotti only got 3, and there were bodies involved in that, right?
What's that?
John Gotti Jr., I think he had a hung jury in 3 trials, and then the prosecution said, we're just not even going to we're not going to try him anymore.
Wow.
And there were bodies involved in that case. Here, we're going for the fourth trial. And who's been hurt? When did the law change such that there could be nobody hurt from a medicine, and yet you can go to jail?
Not only nobody hurt, thousands cured.
Yeah.
And then the ones that are cured, they're afraid to give an affidavit because we're slaves. That's what I'm saying about the slave mentality. Although
I'm also saying there's no victim in my case, and there's no criminal intent, which, according to the law, in order to be a criminal or have committed a crime, there has to be criminal intent. But when you're busted for drugs, criminal intent don't even come into it.
It's just possession. I guess you were charged with just possession, right?
Yeah, but possession of over 10 pounds of marijuana, which is a felony, possession of hash, and possession of hash oil, or THC oil, which are both felonies. I'm charged and my son's charged.
Right. Say, Joe, do you want to tell Posar your strategy? I'll post this tomorrow, depending, or Thursday, as your wishes. We can edit this part, but...
What do you mean, my strategy? My strategy is to try to win this case.
Okay.
And it's, I'm basically saying the same thing I've been saying for 40 years. It's my religious belief.
And now it's got
Well, the problem here is, what he was saying earlier about the Gotti case, there was bodies involved. Well, look at the number of bodies involved in this, in this issue with hemp medicine. And guess who caused, who piled those bodies up? It was the system.
Oh my God, yeah. You're talking about all the bodies that have died from chemo and radiation.
Right.
The Holocaust.
You can call it whatever you want. I call it outright murder.
Well, no, Holocaust means sacrifice, and what you're doing is you're sacrificing to keep the profits up, because the most profitable industries now are healthcare and prisons. And this Joe Barton trial is dealing with both. That's why I'm saying when you were 23, we didn't have privatized prisons, and that's why I know you guys are not enthusiastic about Carl Pearson, but for Carl, fasting until death is not an option. So he says plea bargain. That's what slaves do. They plea bargain.
Yeah, well, I intend to fast until what I'm saying is until either God or the people do something to bring about justice.
So Posar, he signed papers that says no feeding tubes, and, he's moving forward with this, but we'll see. Tomorrow, you're going to tell Posar what's happening tomorrow.
Well, tomorrow is a hearing on whether the warrant that they got was good. And it wasn't, because, first of all, it started with an anonymous informant, an ex-girlfriend, called the police and told them I was growing marijuana. Then the police, without a warrant, came on my property. They had to come up a half-mile driveway with past five no trespassing signs, big signs, not just little signs, right?
Okay.
And on two occasions, the first time they came up and they said in their paperwork that as part of an investigation, they came up my driveway to check out the residence, to see what it looked like so they could get ready for their raid, right? And they came up and me and my son were out in the yard, and they came in and they posed like, oh, we're lost, we're looking for a road. And they said a road that we had never heard of, right? Okay. And then about 2 days later, another police, now they were all undercover clothes. Another police officer comes to our house, and he's got a picture of a dog and a phone number, and he says, I'm looking for a lost dog. He came up and knocked on my porch. When I came out on the porch, whenever I see someone I don't know who it is, I step out on the porch and shut the door behind me, right? Then he says he smelt marijuana on me and emanating from my house. And on that, he went to a judge and said, we got an anonymous tip that this guy's growing pot. We went to the house. I smelled marijuana on him, and I smelled marijuana emanating from the house, and the judge gave him a warrant. But I'm saying they came twice on the property without a warrant doing an investigation, and I don't know if you know the term fruit of a poison tree. In law, they can't use anything that they've obtained illegally. And if they didn't have a warrant, they obtained the smell illegally.
Exactly.
And they should have never gotten a warrant on that. Now, that's what I'm going to be arguing tomorrow in court. But this judge has ruled everything I've asked for or any motions that I've put in, he's either not answered or totally shut them down as vague or
Conclusory?
no,
Irrelevant?
yeah, irrelevant, right? Irrelevant, does not apply, you know. And I was hitting them with, and all my paperwork has Supreme Court rulings, you know. So how can they say, oh, frivolous? That's the word he used. How can he say my arguments are frivolous when my arguments are based on Supreme Court rulings?
Have you ever heard of the public authority defense?
Public authority defense, no.
Yeah, it's a defense based on. Usually, it's used by U.S. federal agents, and they say, "Well, my boss told me to do it." But that's not the only authority a person can rely on, because the Constitution is an authority.
Right.
Federal law is an authority. State constitution is authority. So these are actually authorities that you can use technically, legally, in your defense.
Which is what I have.
Yeah, but will he allow you to question your adversaries by using those parts of the Constitution that apply to you? Have you tried?
Well, I'll know on Wednesday what he's. I don't know what he's going to do on Wednesday, because I personally think, because I've been my own lawyer, and he don't like, you know, he wants the nice lawyer that's going to say, okay, I'll argue it the way the court expects me to argue it. He don't like the way I'm arguing it, because I'm actually making sense, you know, and I'm putting up arguments that they can't answer. So rather than answer them, they throw bullshit at me, you know. And he may tomorrow tell me I can't defend myself. And the lawyer, who's a friend of mine, who's been working on this, has been saying he's probably going to try to tell me I can't defend myself, and he's going to try to appoint a lawyer. And then I'm going to tell him that I speak as a sovereign citizen, as a sovereign human being, and no one speaks for me, and I don't authorize any lawyer to speak for me. My lawyer thinks that at that point, he's going to hold me in contempt of court and put me in jail. And at that point, I'm going to start fasting until either the people get me out, hopefully a bunch of friends. After I fast a few days in the jail, I figure after 15 days, 20 days, the jail's going to start worrying. And after 15 or 20 days, people could go to the governor and say, we want the governor to step in and either pardon me or do something to make this trial fair. And hopefully enough pressure will get me out, and then I'll eat. And if that don't work, then I'm gonna fast until I die. And I actually had my lawyer draw a paper saying they can't put a beating tube in me, and they can't revive me if I pass out. So I know that's going to put a lot of pressure on them. Hopefully it'll do something, and I won't have to die. And if I die, then I want Rick Simpson to use my death as much to, you know, publicize it and use it to change things.
Yeah, that's always a big statement. You know, the only time they can legally force a lawyer on you is when you can't understand the proceedings. That's the only time they can force the lawyer on you. If you can understand the proceedings, you can represent yourself.
He actually told me on the record that he could have this. He said we could do a jail and have this trial without you.
If you're unruly, yeah, but you got to be unruly for that to happen.
I've never been unruly. In fact, 3 different judges have said I'm very polite, which I am in court.
Yeah, which means you should be able
more
to
than
get
they
away with that
deserve.
in the long run.
But if you can get these cameras into that court, that's going to make a world of difference in this case because, I mean, then they know the public's aware of what's going on, and they can't get away with the nonsense that they do. So those cameras are right now of prime importance.
Yeah. So with that being said, let me get off the phone and get to business.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thank you all. Good to meet both of you. And Paul, I already know you, but
I'm looking forward to doing some real ass-kicking shows with you. Okay, Pozar?
all right.
Okay, bye.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye, Joe.
Those are.
All right, Joe, Rick.
I gotta sign off too.
All right.
Okay, yeah, me too. I'm at my lawyer's right now.
Okay, bye, Rick. Bye, Joe. Bye, Pozar.
Okay, bye, Paul. I love you.
I love you too.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
You know, I'd do anything for you. You can, you know, I'm going to let you help write my book so I can pay you.
Aw.
There you go.
Well, Molly's written a book, so
No, pay her, pay her. She needs money.
so does Joe right
Forget
now.
my money.
So Joe, what happened today?
Well, I didn't go to jail, which is one good thing.
Yeah.
The prosecutor was mostly put on his case, and he put the cops up there on the stand, and they said about the informant, and we managed to say, well, if you came on the property twice before you had the warrant, did you have a warrant? And all four of them said no. Both times they didn't have warrants when they came on, which is real good.
Bad for them.
And then we asked them, this property was posted like crazy with signs that we took pictures of all the signs, right?
Right.
And we showed them the pictures of the signs and said, well, you know, if you came on this property, did you notice these no trespassing signs? All four cops said, nope, never saw those signs. We didn't see those signs. We didn't see those signs. I mean, the signs were, when you pulled in the driveway, there were four signs. As soon as you came in the driveway, you couldn't miss them, right?
Yeah.
Now, they said no, 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 and tomorrow we get to put our witnesses on, and I'm subpoenaing the landlord and his wife, who will say that those signs were there before we came. And the guy who repaired our door after the police busted it in, he worked for the landlord for years, and he's willing to come in and say that those signs were there before we moved in. So, and Daniel and Abigail will say that those signs were there. I got about 10 people that'll all come and say that those signs were there, which will show that the police out and out lied.
You know, I talked to Jay and I couldn't believe that he didn't know that posting that Christian Lorette put up when Rick Simpson was in Amsterdam. Did you ever see that RCMP that they raided his house? Did you ever see that clip?
Yeah, I saw that. He didn't, but I did.
Oh, I see. Okay, so they had one camera that proved that there were.
Yeah, that showed them in the house. I saw that.
Yeah, and they had all of the cameras posted, so I don't know how they missed that one, but boy, did they miss it, because that just showed them doing everything.
Yeah, and it's good that they missed it because the police lied. They caught the police in a lie. They said, no, we weren't there, and here's pictures of them there.
Right, right, right. It was really scary, though, because they've been identified now. Some of these were undercover people who aren't undercover anymore. And it was racing around YouTube, and then YouTube took it down. And then it got posted later, but it took a long time, and then after it gets posted, you know, the excitement is gone, and it drops out of the search engines. But Christian Lorette's going to be very interested in this.
What they should have did was kept the copies of that, and every time they took it off one place, put it up on another site.
The problem with that is that people don't know the other sites, because he did put it up on my site and my dad's and, you know, a couple others, but they go to his site to get all the info. It's okay. I mean, the word gets around eventually.
Yeah. But it went good in court. At the same time, we lost some ground because me and Jay were such amateurs. We got them to mark our pictures in as exhibits, but we didn't get to put them in as evidence mostly because of our inexperience in knowing how. After we got done with the case, the guy who was Jay's was there.
Oh.
And it wasn't over, but it was over for the day. He told us that how we could have gotten it in as evidence, but I could have dealt with a jury, but dealing with these hearings,
right,
you really need to know all the technical stuff.
Right.
So what me and Jay are probably going to do, I think at this point in time, because I think we're actually winning over the judge a little bit. I think he said a few times that we've been very polite and very respectful, and even though he sees that we don't really kind of know what we're doing, he gave us a little bit of a play to get some stuff in. He did make some allowances, which I didn't expect him to do. So, it could all be for show. He's showing that, oh yeah, I'm being fair, but in the end I'm going to rule against you. That could be where it's going.
Right.
But I decided I'm going to let my lawyer, I'm going to tell the judge I would like my lawyer to actually handle his case only if he continues the case fighting it the way I was fighting it. If he's going to try lawyer stuff and not put the argument that I wanted to put, then I want to do it myself. And I'm sure the judge at that point, rather than have me and Jay mucking up the trial, I think he would allow my lawyer, where a lawyer normally wouldn't fight the case the way we are, I think he might allow the lawyer to argue the case the way we started it. And
really?
He would have got these pictures in as evidence, and I didn't, and Jay didn't, because we were amateurs. So I may let the lawyer take over the case. If he starts going off on real lawyer trip, I'm going to fire him and say, no, Your Honor, I'm going to fire him. I want to start again. I want to defend myself again.
Won't that kind of bother them to go back and forth?
Well, it might, but...
Say, do you want to get Posar on the line? Because he might know about this.
Who's Posar?
He's the one that's going to be submitting the motion for cameras in the court. You were talking...
I'll tell you what, I hope he does, because just the fact that this judge knows that there might be that kind of publicity on this, he might be willing, he might say, well, you know what, rather than have cameras in my court, I got grounds that I can dismiss this. And that could pressure him to dismiss it.
Well, let me get Posar about exhibits and all that, because he's good on that kind of stuff. Do you want to hang on?
Okay.
Okay. Joe?
Yes?
Okay, it should be ringing. There. He was excited to meet Rick Simpson, because I remember months ago we saw Run from the Cure, and I haven't seen him since.
He ran away.
Yeah.
I'm not available at the moment, but you can leave a message and I'll get back to you as soon as possible.
To leave a voice message, press 1, or just wait for the tone. To send a numeric page, press 2 now.
Say, Posar, it's Paula calling. Joe, you want to quickly tell him, Joe, what happened today?
Well, we went into court, and they put the police on... excuse me. They put the police on the stand. And the police... We showed photographs of all the no trespassing signs all the way up the driveway. And the police lied and said, well, 4 police said they didn't see at least 8 signs that you had to pass to get to our house. And we didn't manage to, we managed to get them admitted as admitted, but not as evidence, because we didn't know how to actually get them on the record as evidence. But we did put them in front of the police and ask them, did you see this sign? Did you see this sign? And they all said, no, 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 no. And I mean, the signs are really big. They couldn't miss them. So, you know, that was in our favor. But the fact that we actually didn't get them in as evidence, I'm going to let my lawyer try it tomorrow, and he'll get them in. But as far as you getting cameras in the court, I think if you really press hard to get cameras in the court, this judge may not want the cameras in the court, and he may take the out, because we've opened the door where he could throw this out, because by the time we're done, we will have proved that the police lied. And on that, the judge may just throw this out. Especially, he might not if he didn't think the cameras were going to be there and there was going to be a lot of publicity on it.
Well, the thing is, they usually deny your motion for cameras in the court, but there's so many juicy things about this case that people are going to be curious about that, you know. I don't know. Posar is just so expert on this. I thought about exhibits versus evidence. He would have an understanding of that, too. And then if you can go back and forth representing yourself, if you don't like what your lawyer did, if you do
just
take
the fact that this judge will know that the media is paying attention to this will make a difference.
Yeah, that's what we hope. Well, give us a call, Posar, okay? Joe?
Yeah.
Okay. Like I say, he was pretty excited to know it was Rick Simpson, because I was just getting in to Run from the Cure, and I can't remember what Posar and I were working on. And I said, hey, take a look at this, and we watched it together.
Yeah.
And it was just so amazing, and people want to know.
I can't hear you.
It's just so amazing that you can cure cancer with cannabis.
Yeah.
Anyway, how is Jay taking all this?
In stride.
Yeah? Well, that's good.
You know, this is his first time, so he's really a bit nervous. And, you know, I mean, both our lives are on the line, so it is a bit nerve-wracking.
Yeah, really.
I think he's more worried about me than he is about himself.
Because they'll be stricter with you.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
And this is his first time. I don't think they can put him in jail on his first offense.
How old is he?
33.
Oh, really? Oh, I thought he was much younger. But it's his first offense, so.
Yeah, first time he's ever been arrested for anything.
Wow. It's the same thing with Abigail, right? The first time.
I'm not sure. I think Abigail might have been arrested in a small thing out in California one time for some marijuana, but I don't think it was anything substantial.
Yeah, because her holding the plant is just a misdemeanor.
Yeah, that was nothing, you know.
Right.
I personally, at the time, told her, don't do that, it's foolish. Just stay focused on our trial and work with us and help us. Instead, she wanted, you know, she's a little bit of a glory seeker, so she knew she wasn't taking a risk, and she thought she could get publicity, and that's been my argument with her. Instead of really working with us, instead of a lot of the stuff she was doing, she could have been down here helping me type stuff up and do research, because she's good at the computer.
Yeah, but she likes to be Florence Nightingale. She's good at that too, Joe.
Yeah, but well, I would have said fine, except she was at our house and she was there many, many times. The lawyer told me that as soon as the cop looked at it and commented on it, I should have said I would like to submit this as evidence. I just didn't know the proper way. I've never dealt with these kind of hearings before. Had we been in front of a jury, I would have known a little better because I've been there. But even then, I might not have been able to get evidence submitted because you need to know the proper way.
Right.
And so I actually would prefer to do this myself, but I also know that I'm at a real disadvantage. The
Right.
prosecutor knows how to object and how to stop me. So I told my lawyer that Dennis, he's not actually my lawyer yet, but he was, and he's been helping me, that I might turn the case over to him. But I want to make it clear to the judge, Your Honor, I would like maybe this lawyer to handle my case, but I don't. He said when we were starting that it's not the way he would argue the case. I want him to argue it my way, not the way a lawyer would. If you'll allow him to argue my case, he could argue it better. But if he's going to try to do it from a lawyer's point of view and change all my arguments, I want the paperwork that I've put in to stand. I want my argument on freedom of religion. If he's going to argue all that, then he could probably do it better than me.
Right.
And if the judge says, I'll allow him to argue your argument, then I'll let him do it, because obviously I'm not capable, and Jay is definitely not capable to pull it off. I'm doing good. We managed to pull off not a total victory, but for us a victory, because we get to stay out free. Okay, what the judge said is what the prosecutor finally agreed with, and I know my paperwork blew his mind. What he said was if I pled guilty to the felony, and Jay pled guilty to a misdemeanor because it's his first time, if I stay clean for 3 years and don't get arrested, I'm free of 3 years without getting arrested. No probation. I don't have to pee in a bottle.
But what happens? What happens if you say if you don't get arrested for 3 years?
Well, then I don't have anything hanging over me anymore. If I get arrested in 3 years, then I have pled guilty to a felony that holds 5. So I just got to really watch my P's and Q's for the next 3 years. But it leaves me out to be active, to be an activist, fighting for the rights of all those people that are still locked up and fighting to change the marijuana laws.
Well, why do you think they even made that offer?
Because I'm good at being a pain in the ass?
Yeah, but you were about to get all the charges dismissed as the fruit of the poisonous tree.
Well, I don't think they would have done that. You know, the judge I was up against was very pro prosecution and all that, but I do think they were glad to get rid of it. You know,
they got a guilty plea. I mean, you now have you're gonna have a felony for the rest of your life.
I got 10, 9 or 10.
Does that shock you, Posar?
Yes, it does, because they came up that road. There's no way in heck that on 2 occasions, I guess at least 2 officers missed 30 times.
4 officers.
How many? 4.
4.
Yeah, I said at least 2.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, there's no way they missed that many times. Plus, the landlord was getting ready to testify that the signs were there. And 10 other people were going to testify that the signs were there. So I just don't think that, I think that the only reason they did that is because they would have had to throw it out.
So what you're saying, Posar, is you think that they're letting Joe free so they can set up a better case, get better sting against him.
Yeah, better, now, you can get arrested for spitting on the side of the road.
No, that would be just a fine. I mean, if I got arrested for anything beyond, say, a violation,
Okay. Okay.
then I'd be in deep shit.
Well, the police have been known to, at pardon pun, plant evidence.
Oh yeah, no, I know that.
So, I mean, it would be nothing.
Well,
Nothing.
I do want to try to move down to the city because for me the city's the safest place. There's no reason for them to bother me. I'm not a big thorn in their side down in the city. In the small town I am. You know.
I think that, it's good that you're out. That part is good. But, it really, like, if you could have pushed for an ACD, that might have been better.
What's that?
They wouldn't go that. I did push for that. They wouldn't go that on a felony.
And they wouldn't break it down even to a misdemeanor, and
Well, they can't break it down twice. They can break it down from a felony to a misdemeanor, but then they can't go misdemeanor to ACD. The law only lets them do it once.
Posar, somebody called to my attention today that maybe it's in Oregon.
Not called an ACD, Dan.
What's that?
I was talking to Daniel.
Oh. Well, somebody told me that in Oregon, you need a pound to make a typical cancer treatment that takes you through about 3 months, or if you take it faster, 1 or 2 months, depending on how bad your cancer is.
Yeah.
But in order to get the pound of dried material, you need 1.5 pounds of wet material. And so apparently they're...
No, actually, you need 4 pounds of wet material. Marijuana, when you dry it, goes from if you have 4 ounces wet, when you dry it, you got 1 ounce.
Okay, so there you go. So my point is that now is the time to really start pushing. I don't know if it's class action lawsuit or whatever, but if you start looking at the cancer statistics, they're so sky high that everybody, this has to be the best insurance program, is to make sure you've got access to at least 1 pound of dried material for you and your family. And that's just if there's only one person in your family with cancer.
4 pounds. 4 pounds.
4 pounds of wet material, yeah.
Yeah.
That you would need. So I told Joe that, because of all of this stuff I've learned in the past couple of weeks, because I've learned so much more, Posar, since I've seen Run from the Cure when I saw it with you over a year ago. One thing that's become really painfully clear to me is that blacks and Hispanics are going to jail in disproportionate numbers. And in California, I had a lawyer who was going to hook me up with some expert witnesses, and in the end, there just wasn't any interest in doing anything outside of California because they felt they were so taken care of, because it might be fully legalized by the fall. But it was pointed out to me.
What do you mean so taken care of?
They just don't.
They have a monopoly. If none of the other states do it, and it's the only place that's legal, everybody's going to be going there for their marijuana.
I see.
However, it's still only a state law. So my feeling was, I just couldn't understand why this lawyer was so smug, because even lawyers, you would think, with legalization of marijuana are going to lose their jobs. But it looks to me like it's going to be state laws are going to be cited when the rich guys get off, who have their lawyers and their connections to their judges, because Dean Lauren told me there's some lawyers who always win and others that don't. And I think then on federal laws, they're going to keep filling the prisons with blacks and Hispanics that can't afford lawyers. So I think I would like to really fight that, the racial discrimination in the prisons. I think that's really important.
Yeah, it's,
all the drug laws from their inception have been racist.
Yeah.
well, it's racistly applied.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Racistly applied.
Yes.
Yeah, more here than there, and
Not even that. If you check back when they made the marijuana law, right? They say Mexicans and blacks were using marijuana, and it made them like jazz and want to fuck white women. That's actually in the early documents when they made marijuana illegal.
You have from when?
From I think 1937.
You have a copy of it?
Oh, you can get it. You go to the book "The Emperor Wears No Clothes," and
I've got two.
Okay.
I've got two
he's got
copies.
all kinds of information. He did some of the best research. More has been done since him, but once you get on the subject, if you go on the internet and follow it, you'll find that he did the original research, and then a lot of people followed up and added research here and there on all the different points that he's making. But
Posar, tell me whenever you want, because Bernie Gabzer, who wrote the Parade magazine cover story in 1994, Should Marijuana Be Legal, gave me all his old records that he used to write the article, and he gave me 2 copies of The Emperor Wears No Clothes.
Okay.
So I'm happy to get one to you.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
Because I feel I think, you and Joe hooking up is going to be a really great thing. Joe, wait until you learn about Posar's case and what he went through for cameras in the court. And I stuck it on the back end of what we shot today, and that's on YouTube. It's rendering right now, so in an hour you should be able to see it.
I'm curious, Posar, did you call the Kingston court at all about the cameras?
No, I didn't. Because it's not about telephone calls. You got to really do it on paper.
Yeah.
If you don't do it on paper, then...
Yeah, I thought maybe if you had called and they realized that there was that kind of publicity, that may have been one of the things that helped, but...
No.
Actually, Posar, because I'm the editor, Posar actually says it sounds like you're going to be okay when he heard about the signs being ignored.
Yeah, that was, yeah. I wonder if you can still sue the policeman.
No, once you've pled guilty, you can't.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you're out and you're doing work, 3 years, keep your nose clean.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I said 3 years, and, but 3 years doesn't even mean, what happens in 3 years?
Well, in 3 years, I don't have the 5 years hanging over my head.
You mean the sentence will be complete? Okay, in 3 years, that's it. Even if you get arrested after 3 years, then that's just like a fresh start thing.
Right, it's like a fresh start. And I kept telling them, there's no way. They kept saying probation. I said, that's a setup. You're setting me up. I'm saying it's my religious belief, and there's no way I'm going to stop. So if I pleaded that, the first time you pee test me, you violate me. That's no freebie for me. It's no out.
Right.
So, and then they said, well, that is the offer. Take it or leave it. And I said, I'll leave it. Let's go to trial. And then we went outside to consult with, I had a bunch of new people that were going to come, and they were going to be witnesses, right?
Yeah.
And I went outside to consult with them. And we were out there maybe about 15 minutes, and then the prosecutor came out to see me. And he said, okay, I got a better deal for you. If you plead guilty to the felony, we'll give you 3 years, no probation. You don't have to report, and if you don't get in trouble in 3 years, it's over.
Yeah, I think you had them. They don't do that when you got them. When they have you, they don't do that. They do not do that when you got them.
Yeah.
But, okay, well,
Say, can I say something?
Yeah.
Sure.
You say that it's your religious belief,
Yeah.
and that if you had gone on, taking the test all the time, they would have violated you.
Yeah.
Don't you think there's a chance that that they just want to set up a better case? And therefore,
One of the reasons why, as soon as I can, I want to move down to the city, because in the city, man, you can blend in and fade out, and nobody knows where the hell you are.
but you know how you say you like getting high?
Yeah.
Well, I like getting high too, but you know you can do it with mantras. So maybe I can teach you other ways.
Over the years, I've tried many of the ways. My favorite is smoking pot.
Well, just stay
I
open.
wonder if in the state or has somebody brought like a suit, because I know there are like some Native Americans that they can smoke peyote or something because that's their religion.
Right, they can eat it. Yeah.
They can eat it. Yeah.
And the Brazilians can do ayahuasca, which is also another psychedelic.
Here in the States they can do it?
Yeah. The Brazilian church, they were bringing in 55-gallon drums of ayahuasca, and they got caught smuggling it into the country, and they fought it on religion, and the Supreme Court upheld their religious belief and their right to it, and the state had to give them back their 55-gallon drums of ayahuasca.
Well, maybe you want to move like to New York State for the right to smoke as a religious belief.
Right.
Well, yeah, I intend to fight for that. But you know what? Unless your rights have been violated.
No, because there's a law that says it, and you can sue for a declaratory judgment that you want to, that as your religious belief, you by the Constitution are allowed to smoke.
I think that's really important, Joe.
Yeah, I do too. If you want to help me make that case, that I'll fight anything.
Okay.
No, you know what it reminds me, Pozar? When I was 14 years old, I had 2 metal rods put in my back, and when I was 21, after a long meditation course, the metal was getting in the way because my spine was shifting because I was getting so deeply relaxed. So my orthopedic surgeon said, that's impossible. It can't happen that, now that you're 21, your back isn't like it was when you were 14. And I said, it's because I'm meditating. And then he told me, well, stop meditating. And then I said, no, take the rods out. So what I'm saying is, if it is your religious belief, and if it is against the law, then they're going to be watching you so carefully. Then you just want to make sure that you're making really strong steps to protect your rights to your religious belief. That's all I'm saying. Like I told my orthopedic surgeons, no, I'm not stopping meditation. Take the metal out of my back.
That was incredible. That a doctor would tell you stop meditating when you're healing.
Well, you know what, Pozar? It's just ignorance. It's like the doctors just don't know. They can't believe it. They can't believe that something can be that powerful, like with metal. And years later, my father, he took prostate cancer medicine, and they said that his bone cancer was bone cancer, not like regular bone cancer, but it was bone cancer from prostate cancer. Well, in truth, it was bone cancer that came from the medicine that they give for prostate cancer. And so he sent me his x-rays because he wanted to sort of send out a message of solidarity because he had metal in his back too. But I remember when he saw me at 14 years old when I got out of the hospital, it was so horrifying seeing my father's expression on his face when he saw how I looked with the body cast that I had on for half a year. And all of this is just ignorance because we common people just don't have enough knowledge. But to me, religion, real religion, is about unfolding deep knowledge, and I think we should make the steps to protect it. So I'm with you, Pozar. I want to take whatever steps we have to do.
All right. Well, we'll do what we can. I think that's an important one, the religion one, but also the medicine one. The 9th Amendment.
No, but let me tell you. What I'm saying in my religious belief, to get off the medicine thing, right, is as a shaman or mystic or all through history, the ancient healers when people were sick, they went to the tribal shaman or the priest or the medicine man to get the herbs for healing. I said I was healing as a shaman. I'm not a doctor prescribing medicine. I'm prescribing herbal healing as my religion, which that opens the door to take it out of the hands of the doctors.
Well, yeah, but there's a deeper thing here. I think when you start reading Simoncini, he says real healing does have to take into account the spirit and the soul. That the body isn't just a collection of organs and...
Well, no. In my religious argument, I'm saying that marijuana is a sacrament that heals body, mind, and spirit, or soul. It's a three-way healer.
Yeah.
It heals you spiritually, it heals you mentally, and it heals you physically.
Well, it sounds to me like the spiritual part is what, as a shaman, and I don't really know what a shaman is, but the spiritual part...
It's basically a medicine man.
It's kind of untouchable, right? The spirit part. Whereas the healing the body, now you're getting into medicine, and the mind is also medicine, but the spirit is more along the religious, untouchable part. It feels like to me.
It feels like that, but the thing is, if you're accessing it through a plant, then whoever controls the plant controls your spiritual access, and that's very scary.
Well, that's why you...
No, it opens the door for anyone to be able to grow their own and heal themselves. All anyone would have to say is it's their religious belief. If this case is won, then anybody could claim the religious exemption. Say, wait a minute, as part of my religion, I have a right to this sacred herb that heals body, mind, and spirit.
No, you know what would happen then? They would challenge whether or not you're really healing people. Like, they'd be, like, oh, yeah, who are you healing? And what are you saying? And how you, they would challenge that.
Okay, in my paperwork that I was saying all that, I loaded it down with all the latest medical research. Say, this is what the shaman and medicine men of old have been saying. And now science is now coming around to prove what mystics and shaman have been saying through the ages.
Right.
This is different from your religion, because now it sounds like you're talking about medicine, doctor.
No. Medicine men and shaman were the ones that people went to for their herbs for healing. They were holy men for 5,000 years. You went to the holy man or the priest or the medicine man, and they were always considered holy men through all the ancient cultures.
And how do you qualify as a shaman? You know what I mean? How do you qualify?
Well,
No. I'm going to say, first of all, they told me that my son, who was a first-time offender, right, they were going to put him in state prison. And they said the deal hinges on both of you've got to take the plea. So I'm going to go in there and say, Your Honor, I was under duress. They're telling me they're going to put my son, a first-time offender, in state prison. So I took the deal because I didn't want my son, who's a gentle person, to go to state prison. And the prosecutor said the deal hinged on both of us taking it. And so I was coerced by the fact that they held my son, the threat of my son over me.
Well, did they ask you, are you guilty of the crime? Did they actually in court say to you, are you guilty because you are guilty?
Yes, they did. But he also said a few times I could change my, what was it? How did he put it? I forget how he put it. But he said I could take back the plea.
Okay.
He said, or if I choose to not go along with this.
One thing you might want to state also is that you were unable to consult with counsel because your standby counsel wasn't allowed to be in the well with you. That's
Right.
You know, that's another one. Because I'm telling you, that guy's supposed to be in there at the table with you, available for legal questions.
Say, Joe, if you take back the plea, then does your son also in jeopardy again?
No, because they offered him the plea, but Jay wants to take back his plea too. He wants to say he was coerced.
No shit, that's amazing.
You know what? I could tell at the time when you're in front of the judge, you're a little paranoid. You know, they're threatening you and they're making you feel like, oh, they're going to put you in jail. And originally he said, well, we'll give you 5 years probation, and we both said, you know, no, we didn't want probation. Then we went outside to consult because I had my witnesses there. I was ready to go on with the trial. And when we were outside, the prosecutor came out of the courthouse and he called us away from our friends. He said, "Could I talk to you for a minute?" And he called us over and he said, I've talked to my boss and he agreed to, if I give we'll drop Jay's felony down to a misdemeanor, and if he pleads guilty, we'll give him 1 year, no supervision. If he doesn't get in trouble, it's over. And we'll give you 3 years for the felony. And just the fact that he came out, I've never had a prosecutor chase me to give me a better deal.
Well, that's because you had him. You know, there's no way that 4 people are going to miss all those signs. It's just impossible.
Yeah, and I did. You know, when you're there and you're nervous and they're threatening you, you're not as aware. But when I came home, the more I kept thinking about it, and the way it all went, I said, you know what? We did have him, and we were toe to toe, eye to eye with the other guy, and we blinked. Now I want to unblink.
Well, you say he said that you could take the. Did he give you a time frame within which you had to take the plea back?
He set a sentencing date. You know, when you go back for sentencing, I've been through this so many times. When you go for sentencing, the judge runs that whole rap against you. Have you ever been coerced? Are you doing this on your own volition and all that? He does that at sentencing, and even at sentencing, they tell you you can take your plea back. Once they sentence you, that's it. But they haven't sentenced us. He set the sentence date for August 5th. I'm going to go back in and say, Your Honor, I want this back on the calendar for the 28th, just the way it was. I want to go forward with this. Our rights have been violated. And now, go ahead.
The 25th was the
28th.
28th was about this hearing, right? What about the hearing?
No, the
No,
28th
that's the
was the trial.
No, well, okay, but you want to finish the hearing and get your witnesses up there and get
Right, that's what I'm going to say. I want to finish the hearing and I want a chance to bring my witnesses in.
Right. Because he's got to throw that out. Okay, go ahead.
And I'm going to tell him that we were the ones violated. We were the victims. We've been robbed by the Urgent Task Force under color of law. They took my marijuana.
And you want it back to help all the cancer patients.
Right. I want it back.
Because I figured all those.
Well, it's religion. His thing is religion, I guess, right? You're saying you're not doing the medicinal.
No, I am using it as a healing herb, as shaman, medicine men, mystics, and all going back all through a history have done.
It's an important part of the argument, Posar. I know it takes a couple steps, but that is how you heal.
That is how you heal?
And it is a religious